Goldstockhorn here, and today I'll share with you my thoughts on the Shadows of Change DLC and patch 4.0 in general. From what I have gathered, most people seem to enjoy this DLC, and the main complaint is that it is just too expensive for what it offers in terms of content. The DLC offers 3 new campaigns, of which one is completely unique, with the Changeling, and the other 2 are more or less in line with what we have seen from other DLCs in the past. Now, I have already ranted about why I hate the Changeling, so if you want, you can watch that video to learn more about my opinion on his campaign. Recycling mechanics, in my view, is not necessarily a bad thing, and I find the Ostankya and Yuan Bo campaigns to be much more enjoyable than the Changeling's campaign. Ostankya, just like Kugath, has a mechanic similar to Grom's Cauldron, but unlike Grom's Cauldron, it is much more simplified and less impactful on your campaign as a whole. However, it is very powerful when it comes to fighting battles, especially when defending lightly defended settlements. The combination of Gate of Thorns on your enemy infantry and Spirited Away on your garrison makes easy work of most armies the AI can throw at you. I rather dislike the way you create the blessings and curses, where you use a specific charm for that turn and have it cost Spirit Essence. The hexes can also be rather lackluster, as they also cost Spirit Essence to use, and their effects vary drastically. The first 3 are actually quite amazing, both in terms of cost and effect, while the final 2 are, in my opinion, not really worth it. Getting a 50% bonus from your settlement income is not really all that amazing, and spawning 2 armies with between 4 and 7 units in it that degrade in health has very limited use. Unfortunately, this campaign also lacks depth, and I find myself unwilling to continue playing it any further than turn 50. You get no new lords for Kislev in this DLC, but you do get a new hero type, which is quite powerful in my opinion, and has some interesting traits and skills, but a rather lackluster hero action. Attrition in this game is almost non-existent, and easily avoidable, so reducing the amount of attrition you receive is quite worthless. The fact you can't recruit most of the regular Kislev roster leads me to believe they were aiming for a campaign similar to that of Draika, where elven units took a back seat, so to say. But Draika was a free legendary lord, and her campaign is much more interesting and thematic to play, whereas Ostankya's feels barely half-baked. Yuan Bo is actually a quite enjoyable campaign to me. It starts off similar to how Malice Darkblade starts off his campaign, but I would recommend you sell your starting settlement in the Cathay, as you don't really need it and it just becomes a money sink later on. I find his campaign to be much more appealing than that of the other 2 Cathay and Legendary Lords, simply due to the fact that you don't have to deal with the Kurgans. It just feels much better not giving it any thought and not having to devote armies to babysit the Chaos Wastes to defend your territory. His Matters of State mechanic, I feel, is very good and quite interesting in its design, and it doesn't feel too strong, but rather just right. I haven't gotten far into his campaign yet, but at turn 30 I feel like I could still keep going and having fun with it much more so than with either Ostankya or the Changeling. You also get a new melee lord type for Cathay, which was, in my opinion, not really needed. However, what I really appreciate is the fact that their magistrate lords are now much better, and I would personally always recruit them over dragon-blooded lords. Dragon-blooded lords are really only useful as spellcasters, but Cathay Yin and Yang magic is not all that impactful in the game. Being able to massively boost your armies with the magistrate lords is just so much better, especially since Cathay builds many more armies than other factions. However, the biggest disappointment with the patch as a whole is the fact that the faction adjustments promised are a complete and utter letdown. Kislev got next to nothing, and I would really have liked to have seen an improvement to their technology tree. Kairos just got some of his changing of the ways readjusted, and Cathay got dumbed down for the worse in my opinion. A lot of the time, simpler does mean better. But Cathay Yin-Yang system was, for me, quite enjoyable, and gave me something to think about. Yes, you could have heroes be the main way you maintain balance in your campaigns, but if you went too much out of alignment, you wouldn't be able to correct the balance with just heroes. So you were forced to think about how to build your provinces and which technologies you should research. But with this new system, nothing really matters, and no matter where you align, you will get bonuses. So the whole system can just be ignored. The same goes for the war compass, as nothing has changed. Yuan Bo has some very interesting directions for his compass when occupying certain settlements, but aside from him, nothing else has changed. The faction readjustments amount to basically just dumbing down mechanics and giving nothing in return. I now have even less incentive to play Cathay, and my indifference towards Kislev has not changed at all. In my opinion, the amount of content offered in the DLC is not worth its price point. Not only the content, but the quality of it and the general changes that come with it are just further diminishing my enjoyment of the campaign. This is one of the very few DLCs I would genuinely recommend to people to just not buy, and I would very much like it if the changes to Cathay were reversed. But these are just my opinions about the DLC. What are your opinions on the matter? If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and until next time.